Yo, parish orphans and retrogrades. On today's episode, we're going to do something very special for you. And it seems a bit off the beaten path. It's not typically what I talk about, but I was reviewing Twitter, X, and there's a very funny video that took place in late January of 2024, shortly after the Crown Heights Jewish Tunnel, New York incident took place. Remember, they really swept that out of the news as soon as about 9 young Jewish men, they say 9, it seemed like more than that, were caught tunneling beneath New York City streets. Crown Heights was the neighborhood, and it was underneath a particular Jewish synagogue. Now, they got that out of the news fast, and it was a Chabad synagogue. We're going to be talking about what Chabad is with regard to the other Hasidim, the Hasidic Jews, what they believe, and who their leader was, because it seems to have something to do with that New York City Jewish tunnel incident there in Crown Heights. Now, the video that I found that I thought this is really funny. Whether it's intending to be or it's not intending to be, I think it's at least partly intending to be. It's on the There Goes the Neighborhood YouTube channel. It's called There Goes the Neighborhood, which is appropriate given the content of this video. And it claims to be an interview between the male and female host. And it's a specific show called 9/11 is Gay on the There Goes the Neighborhood show on YouTube, with a Jew who is talking as a Jew, and he's talking as a member of the Chabad Lubitz synagogue, which is that one which had the secret tunnels being dug underneath it. Whether or not this guy is, I researched him pretty extensively, whether or not he's actually a member of the synagogue or he was an actor playing a caricature of a Jewish guy, particularly a Chabad version of a Hasidic Jew, is sort of up in the air. But this is typically a farce show, a comedy show. And it's not clear from all the digging around I did on this video. I'm going to play the video in just a second, whether or not it's taking a turn toward the serious for once, and the male and the female host are being serious, and they're being dismissed because they're being anti-Semitic just by asking questions about what happened. Is it, what were these rituals that were evidenced by these strange blood-stained mattresses being dug up from there? There was children's furniture, like high chairs. I don't know if you saw this. We'll put some pictures up of the photos that they were taken away from the incident right afterwards. But the member on There Goes the Neighborhood 9/11 is Gay show, the guy who claims he's a member of the Chabad synagogue there, said that they were doing rituals to bring back, to resurrect the maybe dead, maybe alive Rabbi Schneerson, who is a real guy who actually died in 1994, who is hailed by many, many Orthodox Jews, not all of them, but many Orthodox Jews, as God, as a Messiah. You can look this guy up. I'm going to talk to you about this serious guy, the serious content behind this maybe for funny video. Rabbi Schneerson, who's been dead since 1994, and the man who claims to be a member of the synagogue, says they were doing rituals to resurrect him. That's real. They think this is the Messiah. They believe he's maybe not dead, or he's not fully dead. And this is what's called Chabad Messianism. It's very, very real. It's all too real. We don't know exactly what rituals Chabad typically uses to bring him back, but it was found that the 9 extremist students who were digging the tunnel were doing so toward affecting the end of Chabad Messianism. They say it was to expand under the tunnels. We think that's a gross oversimplification. But at least we know this much. They were the extremists that hailed this guy as Messiah. Now, other Jews, non-Hasidic Jews who are also Orthodox, respect Rabbi Schneerson. I think his name is like Mendelbaum.
Schneerson.
He was world renowned. Like literally, Ben Shapiro said he respects him. I'm going to teach you what this guy believed and what he taught. And, you know, so I don't know if you had some joke to make.
No, I was just going to say, like, it's like for people who are like questioning this, it's like literally if you Google Jew tunnels, everything you just said comes up.
Yeah.
It says construction and purpose. The tunnel is approximately 60 feet long, 8 feet wide, was built without permits by a group of young unaffiliated individuals, often described as a part of a messianic faction within the Chabad community. They reportedly aimed to extend the synagogue and fulfill the vision of late Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson to expand the building. So there you go.
Right. So this sounds like a snow job, if ever there was one, right? Hey, if you guys get caught doing whatever ungodly stuff you're doing down in these tunnels, we're going to disown you, kind of like CIA black operators. We're going to disown you. We're going to call you extremists, and we're going to make up something that you were doing. Yeah. Rabbi Schneerson, very, very rich guy, very, very rich, well-funded, world-funded Chabad. They really needed, tunnel digging Jews to do their renovation in the basement. That's what they're trying to have you believe. And that's the cover story over the last 2 years. They didn't really float it in the popular media at all. They covered it and they got it out of there. But if you look into it, like, oh yeah, I remember that after New Year's in 2024. What were these New York City tunnel Jews doing? What were those guys up to? Well, why are they pulling out blood-stained mattresses? Why are they pulling out kids' high chairs from these tunnels? What kind of ritualism was going on under there? They'll say, well, they were not authorized by the city of New York or by Chabad Lubins to do the basement on their own. They were just doing a home renovation project, because that was the goal of Rabbi Schneerson, who's been dead for 32 years. Yeah, right. So I'm going to play for you the video of this cat who claims to be a member of the synagogue. You can't get a hard debunk on him. He gives his name. It's difficult to ascertain whether or not he's giving a fake name or not. I'm assuming it's fake, so that people can't say, you fell for it. I'm going to officially assume that this is a fake name because it's usually a comedy show. But the important thing is it adheres in what is actually saying and how much of it is true. What shocking portion of it is true? Do we have that video? Yeah, just a second. Let me get it. Let me know if you guys have a hard time hearing this in chat. So let me get this ready.
Arounds, and this is the one everyone's been talking about. Is this, Dirk just pulled up on screen, stained mattress that was pulled out of the tunnel being carried by members of the synagogue. So there's a lot of crazy conspiracy theories. I don't want to go down any tasteless rabbit holes. But David, if you could explain, why was there a mattress in the tunnels and what is the stain? A lot of folks are wondering, is this stain feces?
No, it's not feces.
What
the
is
stain
it?
is blood, and basically we did rituals. I said that before. There were some rituals that we do in the tunnels, and sometimes the rituals might involve someone who recently died, and we'll bring them down there, and we're trying to do a ritual to bring back the Messiah, which is a Schneerson. If you heard about him on the news, so he died many years ago. But we have rituals that we believe we can bring him back, and so.
So how do these rituals
was that
work?
the main guy who was sort of instructing on the tunnels?
Well, that was a long time. He's like the head. He's the head rabbi, and he's the guy that we look for direction.
Right, and the news was saying that he is potentially not passed on.
Right, that's right. So we don't know that, so we try to do rituals to try
To bring him back.
Correct, exactly.
So how do these, can you explain the rituals and why does it involve a mattress?
I don't want to go into the details of the rituals, but basically we don't put the body on the floor, we put the body on the mattress, and sometimes we might make an incision somewhere on the body and a little bit of blood will come out. But I don't want to go into the details.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, you mentioned when we talked on the phone that you brought a book with you.
Yes. Yes, this is a type of book I bought, and this is a type of book that describes different types of rituals and things of that nature.
So how does that, like, can you explain the book?
Well, it's too detailed to go through the book. It's a detailed book, but I suggest if you have a chance and you want to get the book, you can read it.
The Book of Living and Dying.
Yes, the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying.
So where did you guys learn? You guys use this for the rituals? Is this an ancient Judaism thing?
No, we use some different books, and this is one of the books.
I mean, if the guy's an actor, he does a great job. The accent is on point.
Yeah.
Like, I'll say that.
I just watched an old Jim Caviezel movie called Frequency that I'd never seen. Some of the worst New York accents you have ever heard. So if bad accents are like fine wine, then you will get drunk on Frequency. Jim Caviezel, lovely Catholic man, horrible Michael Gary Scott New York accent. This accent here by the man claiming to be called David is right on point. I mean, this is a gold star for a New York Jew accent. The quality makes me simultaneously doubt the authenticity of the man in the video and sort of believe it. But I'm going to go ahead and assume this is an actor because this is usually it's not a pure comedy show, but it's mainly a comedy show with the male and the female host. This one's called 9/11 is Gay. There Goes the Neighborhood is the title. I'm very interested in this because what all that really matters that I can't sum up for you in a single kind of fast episode, which I'm going to do today, is tell you the only thing I don't know for certain is whether or not this guy is actually a member of the Chabad Lubavitch synagogue. Everything else, however, I was arguing with some momos on Twitter about what the implications are. They're like, oh, you fell for a joke. I'm like, no. We have to go through Chabad Messianism, right? They literally do chants and rituals at this particular Crown Heights synagogue. I think it's 710. We know the address and everything. They do rituals to bring back Rabbi. What's his first name? That's the symbol right there that we have up on the screen. Menachem. Am
I saying that
Mendel.
right? There's a lot of like
Schneerson.
phlegming going on in the throat with some of these names. Like
I'm getting over a cold, so
Schneerson.
There's a lot of phlegm happening. But Rabbi Schneerson, they literally think he is the God man. And of course, this makes him an antichrist, if not the antichrist, because he died in 1994. They think he's still alive. They think he's the Messiah. He's well thought of in other in other sects of Jewish Orthodoxy. Like Ben Shapiro has said really, really high things about him. He recommends him. He doesn't think he's the Messiah, but other less extreme ultra Orthodox Jewish sects, not just the Hasidim, the Hasidic Jews, they look up to him. They just don't think he's the Messiah. This is a weird thing. Think about what we Christians do. We apply C.S. Lewis's Lord, Liar, Lunatic to the claims of Jesus. Either if he's claiming to be the Messiah and he's not, then he's a liar or a lunatic if he's not the Lord. Jews don't play that way, right? So you have mainstream Jewish figures, all kinds of them. I mean, if you looked up Dennis Prager, I would you'll look it up real fast, Steph. Does Dennis Prager like Rabbi Schneerson? I'll bet you dollars to donuts that he does. I'll bet you he has an overall favorable view of him. This guy was a rock star until he died in the middle 90s. And the Hasidic Jews believe that they can use rituals, chants. Some of them are really extreme to bring him back. It is acknowledged to mainstream news that it was the extreme Schneerson, Chabad Messianists who were the ones caught doing this New York City Jew tunneling. So this is all beyond a shadow of a doubt. Now, Rabbi Schneerson himself, as all Chabad, is an extra strong form, an extra extreme form of Orthodox Jew, known as the Hasidim. They all believe in, I'll read you something that alleges Schneerson said this in the strongest terms. They all believe in the Metzitza B'Peh.
Gross.
Which is the oral form of cleaning off after a circumcision.
By the rabbi to the baby.
By the rabbi to the baby.
Totally weird.
All real. Sorry to be the bad news bearer or the weird news and disgusting, shocking news bearer, but this is what not all Orthodox believe in it anymore, but all of the Hasidics believe in this, and the truest, most Talmudic Jews, the ones that believe the Talmud the most, that's what passes off as the most Orthodox, not the ones that love the Old Testament the most, the ones that love the Babylonian Talmud the most. Those are the most Orthodox, and it's required by Talmud. And Schneerson himself, once they developed these modern forms of cleaning off after circumcision, using tubes and things like that, not the rabbi's mouth, Schneerson was asked by a New York City mohel, hey, should we use these new techniques? It's way less gross. And he said, no, I insist on using this. So this is the guy they think is the Messiah. Essentially, pedophile, requiring Rabbi Schneerson. I'm going to teach you all about him in, 10 minutes, and what is Chabad within, the Hasidim, which within the right-wing portion of Orthodox Jews, which is within Judaism writ large, and what the Messianists believe. But were you looking that up? What does Dennis Prager say? This guy was a total rock star. Everyone who was a well-known Jew liked him or was friends with him or something like that.
I have yet to find something that connects the two of them, but
okay. Well, Ben Shapiro liked him, and it's really important because I guess that's just one of those major news stories that went by the wayside. And once I went down this disgusting but oddly enlightening rabbit hole, I learned a lot. I learned a whole lot about the views of Chabad. And I realized basically that this video, whether it's comedy or truth and jest kind of faction, it's really enlightening. And maybe that's why these guys did it. I don't know. We'll get to that in a bit. I understand it might strike the listener as an odd topic for a video, but this was a major event, and it has to do with lots of other major things that are happening. People learning that modern Judaism is not what they've been taught it is. It's a totally different animal altogether. And granted, this isn't all, not all Jews believe that Rabbi Schneerson, the late Rabbi Schneerson, who died in 1994, is the Messiah or was God. But a lot of them have high respect for him and recommend him, even though in their view, he's a false Messiah.
A comment from Man of the People here in chat says a quick Google search shows that Prager called Schneerson, quote, the most prominent Jew of the 20th century and a visionary leader.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
This is what I'm saying. He is easily the most prominent Jew of the 20th century, like including, Anne Frank and mid-century Jews. He was the guy. And that's why, even though you would think, don't Jews ascribe to a Lord Liar Lunatic trifurcation the way we do in Christianity? Because we're serious. We know Jesus was Lord. But if he wasn't, I could say as an absolutely positive disjunctive syllogism that if Jesus wasn't Lord, then he was de facto either a liar or a lunatic. Well, they don't apply this. Ben Shapiro, Dennis Prager, mainstream Jews do not apply this same trifurcation, logical trifurcation to Rabbi Schneerson, which is just weird. It tells you they're not really rigorous. They're not really serious about what they believe. How could he have been a good man if he was going along with people saying he was the Messiah and even God? You know, Ben Shapiro, I believe, said something like, well, we don't believe as Jews in God taking on physical form. That's why we didn't like Jesus. But this guy's still really important. And he would recommend his books and all that. So that's what I meant. I bet dollars to donuts. I hadn't even peeked at it. Dennis Prager likes him too. He was the most prominent Jew of the 20th century, beloved by all, even outside the Orthodox community. But inside Orthodox, then you have, you know, Hasidic Jews. Then inside Hasidic Judaism, you have the Chabad Jews. And it gets to be more and more weird and more out there as it becomes more and more extreme Orthodox Judaism. Interesting. So that's the show. I'm going to teach you about Chabad Messianism and the fact that whether or not this guy claiming to be named, like not David Frankson, I forget what he says his name is in the video, whether he's actually part of the Chabad community there in Crown Heights, doesn't even matter. And that's maybe why they made this video, even if he is a paid actor. You'll see why when I go through the bedrock, undeniable truths of what Chabad is, what Hasidic Judaism is, and what Orthodox Judaism is, and the fact that this guy Schneerson was an antichrist. Okay, first, I want to tell everyone to get out of your blue state, get to a red state today, or if you're in a red state already, get to a redder part of your state. Unless you're just in a great part of your state, then stay where you're at. The way you should do this is by going to www.realestateforlife.org. My family moved from the bluest blue state out there, California, to the reddest red state out there, Mississippi, and it affected our lives in a daily way. It's more fun, it's more safe, it's more beautiful. You can buy a bigger house, a much bigger house when you go to a red state. In my case, I didn't even own a house at all in California. And if you want to do so, go to www.realestateforlife.org. And some pro-Catholic, pro-life person will help you get it done. Also, subscribe to this video. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. Leave a comment. If you want to help us beyond that, Locals is the way to do it. We're sending out these Parish Orphan Patron Packs to people who become a $13 a month local subscriber or more. And also people are asking, hey, you know, how do we donate to you, to your family, because they've heard about the recent things we've been through with the birth of our 8th kid. That's very nice. We would set up for your prayers and just being remembered. Thank you so much. You know, my family's doing great. Little baby Adelaide is about 2.5 weeks old, 2 weeks and 2 days old. And, really, really grateful that she is healthy. Born with Down syndrome, but we're just thrilled she's healthy on the whole. And we're going to see the cardiologist on Friday. So please do keep us in your prayers. If you want to donate, you can always go to timothyjgordon.com. That's all people are always asking about, you know, such a big family, Abby, now Hattie. But we appreciate the prayers mainly. Okay. So that's how you support me, and that's how you support the channel. They're not quite the same thing. Let me give you a little Chabad Messianism clinic in the 101 form, the beginner's class. Messianism in Chabad refers to the belief within some of the Chabad Lubavitch community, a prominent group within Hasidic Judaism, hugely important in New York City, a prominent Hasidic group, that the Jewish Messiah, Moshiach, is a modern guy. Central to the belief is the conviction that Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the 7th Rebbe of the Chabad Lubavitch dynasty, it's a dynasty, is the awaited Messiah and leading the Jewish people into the Messianic age. So they believe that this guy, Rabbi Schneerson, his name's hard to say, is the Messiah.
Some dork in chat's trying to pronounce you on pronunciation. Tim only pronounces things that he cares about properly.
Right. The funnier, the better. And Schneerson, I mean, come on, this is the most characteristically, prototypically Jewish name. So Schneerson is just hilarious, and I love it. So Schneerson spoke of this generation's mission to complete the Dira Betachtonim, and urged everyone to do all within their power to help the world reach its ultimate goal of perfection, when godliness and goodness will be naturally apparent and prevalent with the final redemption. So he wants to bring about the end. Schneerson would finish almost every public talk of his with a prayer for the imminent arrival of the Messiah, which is weird because aren't you the Messiah, Schneer? Mr. Schneer? As early as the 1970s, he sought to raise awareness of the Messianic age by encouraging people to learn and become knowledgeable in the laws of the Holy Temple, laws that will be applicable only when the Messiah actually comes. Schneerson would frequently note the many sages who stated that this generation was the last generation of the exile, it would be the first generation of redemption, and he would quote others to this effect. Early efforts by Chabad Hasidim to refer to Schneerson as the Jewish Messiah resulted in strong opposition from Schneerson. So at first he's like, guys, I ain't him. In 1965, in what is likely the first record of Chabad Hasidim referring to Schneerson in messianic terms, a Hasid in Israel named Avraham Pariz, beautiful name, printed and distributed letters that spoke of Schneerson as the Jewish Messiah. In response, Schneerson reportedly telegrammed Pariz in Israel, stating that he strongly objected to the disseminated letter and requested that Pariz cease its distribution. Schneerson also reportedly instructed Pariz to recover all the distributed copies of the letter and confirm its collection. In 1984, another Israeli Hasid, Shalom Dov Wolpert, raised the issue publicly by publishing a booklet identifying Schneerson as the Messiah. Schneerson reportedly responded by banning the publication and forbidding Wolpo from involvement with any related efforts. Schneerson publicly denounced these actions several times, saying that those involved in such publications were creating new opposition to the Chabad movement. Yeah, it's pretty kooky, right? You're creating opposition to the Chabad movement, guy. And that he wished to never have to speak about the topic again. On Shabbat Bereshit, when Wolpo began singing a song that had become popular in Shabbat, which referred to Schneerson as the Messiah. I guess this was some sort of top of the pop charts Bereshit song. Schneerson abruptly stopped the singing and ordered that it never be sung again. Can you imagine? What? I'm literally taking it up right now. You're singing your favorite pop song about, the guy living in the house next to you that you think is the Messiah. And he tells you, stop singing that song on Shabbat Bereshit, whatever that is. That's a special day. And don't ever sing this pop song again. I don't care if it's at the top of the Jewish pop charts. Don't sing it. Okay. Wolpo would later argue that despite the Rebbe's, that's what they call him, the Rebbe's strong opposition, all Chabad Hasidim must still consider and proclaim the Rebbe as the Jewish Messiah, arguing that the Rebbe, that's Schneerson, also declined to be called Rebbe in earlier years, only accepting the title later because the time had not yet come. Eventually, the Rebbe appeared to reverse his ban, and he's like, you know what? Shower me with adulation. I like it. And soon after, he began encouraging publicly a song identifying him as the Messiah. I've got to hear this song. This song sounds money. He goes so far as to authorize one of Wolpo's articles to be translated and published in a newspaper. So I guess he had a change of heart. It's false modesty. Schneerson saying, maybe I really am God. Wolpo would argue that the precept of the acceptance of the Jewish Messiah is an act that must be performed by the Jewish people and not by the Messiah himself. I see. In 1988, after Schneerson called for Chabad rabbis to issue a Jewish legal warning or legal ruling, to declare that the Jewish Messianic era must commence, a Hasid named Yitzhak Handel issued a ruling stating that Schneerson was the rightful Jewish Messiah. So he has a ruling stating it. Yitzhak Handel. In response to the ruling, Schneerson did not protest and actually stated, quote, Handel is competent rabbi who knows what he is talking about, end quote. That's hilarious. You know, when some guy's like, hey man, this guy is God, you're like, you are a competent rabbi, sir. People ought to listen to what you say about rabbis. It's hilarious. It was not until April 1991 that Schneerson began openly encouraging the Yeki song, identifying him as the Messiah. These names sound kind of yucky, don't they? It's called a Yeki song. In the late 80s and early 90s, Schneerson talks became increasingly focused on the topic of the Messianic that was to come and what was needed to accomplish this. And this is where it gets interesting, right? These guys trying to accomplish the end of the world, Third Temple kind of stuff, red heifer, that kind of stuff. A statement of this kind by Schneerson was the view that the Jews living in the modern age were the last generation to live in exile and the first generation of redemption. On November 2nd, 1991, during the Rebbe's talk at the International Conference of the Shlukim, emissaries, he stated that their work had been completed and the only task that remained was to welcome the Messiah. That's good. In the early 1990s, Hasidim became more vocal about Schneerson being the Messiah, even submitting a petition to him asking that he finally reveal himself as the long-awaited Messiah. Isn't that something? On one occasion in 1991, as the Rebbe was leaving the evening prayers, when traditionally someone would start a song and the Rebbe would encourage it on his way out of the synagogue, some Hasidim began singing one of the Rebbe's favorite lively songs, adding the words of Yeki. Long live our master, our teacher, our Rebbe, King Mosiach. Oh, the delights of being there. I'd have liked to have been a fly on the wall. I don't know about you guys. A few months later, a few people did muster the courage to start singing at an intermission in a Shabbos Frambringen, a less overt song that implied that the Rebbe was the Messiah. But this is subtle. Within a few seconds, the Rebbe heard it and immediately became very grave and said, really, I should get up and leave the room. Even if some people consider it not respectful that I need to be the one to leave, I don't need to reckon with the views of a small number when what they are saying is the opposite of reality. However, first of all, it will unfortunately not help anyway. Secondly, it will disrupt the Shevet Achim Gam Yakad, brethren, to dwell together in unity. For if I were to leave, others will leave too. So he's kind of like, keep singing your songs, which praise me, guys. In 92, a journalist from Israel said to the Rebbe, we appreciate you very much. We want to see you in Israel. You said, soon you will be in Israel, so when will you come? The Rebbe responded, I also want to be in Israel. These are kind of bad stories, by the way, but it's going somewhere. The journalist insisted, so when will you come? We don't need to know. He's like, true story. And we had 6 coffees. So when will you come? That depends on the Mosiach, not on me, he said. Oh, Rabbi Schneerson. The journalist persisted, you are the Mosiach, to which the Rebbe responded, I am not. In 1991, Rabbi Dovid Nachshon received a bottle of vodka from the Rebbe for his effort of getting people to sign a declaration accepting the Rebbe's kingship. After Rabbi Nachshon announced what the bottle was for, he announced the words of Yeki, declaring the Rebbe King Mosiach 3 times. The Rebbe responded by saying amen. So I guess he's into it. Now there's apparent contradictions. So he responds to the Yeki chant. Many Hasidim feel that Menachem Mendel Schneerson is the Mosiach of the generation, even though he never said so himself. As the years went on and descriptions of Schneerson being a toweringly unique figure, a Rebbe of truly unprecedented and universally recognized stature, spread even further. This messianic speculation spread to greater numbers and higher volume than in previous generations. Okay, so he's a big deal. This Schneerson guy, he's a stud in the Jew world. Schneerson explained this himself. This has always been the hope and the yearning of the Jewish people, that the Messiah should come now immediately. Therefore, it is inappropriate for someone to say that he does not want, or that he does not agree, or that he is not comfortable that people are imploring, we want Moshiach now. Every Jew clearly prays and pleads 3 times a day in the Amidah while standing before the Almighty. They say that we merit the final redemption and the coming of the Messiah speedily, and then continues this prayer that he hopes for this entire day. So Schneerson urges and talks about, at the end of his rabbi career, the purifying all parts of the world through Torah and mitzvot in order to bring Moshiach. Many times he would weep publicly about the deep slumber and exile we're in and how urgent it is that God redeem us. So he gets ill, he dies, and Chabad Messianism begins there. Many hopeful, vocal followers held that Schneerson's death did not rule out the hope that he could still be the Moshiach, the Messiah. There are Talmudic and Halachic sources that speak of the possibility of a righteous Jew leader could be resurrected to become the Moshiach. And this is really important because they want to resurrect this guy. Whether some of them believe he's not fully dead, some of them believe he's kind of dead but resurrectable. They want to resurrect him. So these positions, although not well known, figure quite prominently and early into authentic Judaic sources. The Babylonian Talmud states, and they cite it, if he, the Messiah, is among the dead, he is someone like Daniel. It's kind of an endorsement. In fact, the most well-known deceased figure identified as being able to be the Messiah in rabbinic literature is King David. The Jerusalem Talmud states, the rabbis say, who is King Messiah? Is he from the living? David is his name. If he's from the deceased, David is still his name. So it's important that you understand that what's claimed in this otherwise really hilarious video, maybe it's trying to be hilarious, but by this guy calling himself David, a member of the synagogue there at the Chabad Lubin's Crown Heights location, he's saying true things. Now, we don't know about bloody mattresses and little kid furniture and stuff that looks like abuse was going on. And of course, we know the connections that such abuse has to the Talmud and all that. But we don't know what, or you can't learn this stuff in a day of study exactly what the rituals are that the Chabad Messianists want to use, because they probably wouldn't allow him to talk openly. So he's saying, well, in the video, David goes, well, it's not feces, it's blood. And that's that's funny. That's good comedy, right? You know, I mean, that's one of my favorite Office episodes is when they're like, that's either blood, urine, or semen. And the episode just ends with Michael saying, gosh, I hope it's urine. So I mean, anything's kind of better than feces, right? So that's the joke. It's good comedy. I laughed. I don't know, because modern Judaism itself is such a farce. It's a non-religion religion, right? The Messiah was killed 2,000 years ago by the practitioners themselves, and they don't offer sacrifices in the temple anymore. So it's the whole thing's kind of a farce. So it's difficult to tell truth from reality, caricature from genuine article. But okay, so here are the positions within Chabad, really, really influential in New York City. The view of Schneerson as Messiah is not advocated in Chabad's centralized and official literature. According to a Chabad spokesman in 2014, which was 20 years after he died, the Schneerman, Chabad Lubavitch leaders have repeatedly condemned them, the Messianists, in the strongest possible terms. journalist Sue Fishkoff, another beautiful name, notes that the idea that most Lubavitchers are Messianists is a claim that is patently absurd. Here, everyone is treading on thin ice, for no one can know how deep Chabad Messianism goes. So, how many of these Chabad Lubavitchers believe that Schneerson's the Messiah? I mean, they already all believe in the circumcisional practice of suction, oral suction that I described to you. They all believe that. So it's kind of, we're through the looking glass already, right? It's required by really hardcore Judaism. The Hasidim all believe in Mitzitza B'Peh. And, I shouldn't make jokes. This is really, really bad stuff. Really, satanic ritual abuse. That's what it is. It's satanic ritual abuse. You'll hear normies and white knights go, oh, our Lord Jesus was a Jew. No. He was a Mosaist. Okay? He was not a Talmudist. The Talmud is what took over and started instructing them to use oral suction, the moils, at the baby's circumcision, and to do a bunch of other perverse stuff, and to basically ignore the 10 Commandments and the Old Testament. That's modern Judaism. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking Orthodox or Reform or anything like that, or even a really, really right-wing, ultra-right-wing form of Orthodoxy. It's all crazy. It's all through the looking glass. So no one knows how deep Chabad Messianism goes, but the most important Jew of the 20th century, the man of not just the generation, but the century, or Jews, whom many American Jews, many of the most religious American Jews believe is the God-man Messiah, he's respected by all the other ones. Ask Ben Shapiro about, well, what about Schneerson? Ask Dennis Prager about what about Schneerson? I don't know. Ask Mark Levin. I'd love to see Mark Levin screeching his little troll voice about people that speak out against his Messiah, Schneerson. Or maybe he's not his Messiah. He's a good man. When David Berger and other critics claim that it affects the majority of the Chabad movement, they have no greater statistical backing than those who suggest it's on the decline. So Messianics, subsequent to Schneerson's death, vocal Messianists have continued to proclaim that Schneerson is still alive. So that the guy David also said this in the video. Well, he might still be alive, and therefore we're going to drain some blood, use some necromancy to bring him back. I don't know. You can't even tell. I know it's a comedy show. You can't even tell if that's a joke or not, because modern day Judaism is like a joke. Some of them argue that just as the Talmud states that Jacob did not die, a teaching that carries great nuanced significance in Kabbalistic thought, so too Schneerson did not die. Among religious Jews, reference to one who has died is followed by expressions such as Alav Hashalom or Zekuto Yagen Aleinu. Messianists do not use such terms when writing of Schneerson. Some Messianists have even continued to use terms that indicate Schneerson is still alive as Shlita. Many crew members are vocal Israeli youth, particularly those educated in the city of Safed. They're also members of the Messianic camp within the Crown Heights community and elsewhere who share these views. Okay, and these are the members that were caught being dirty little New York City tunnel Jews. Now, this is on Wikipedia. They didn't even make the connection. They just said there are also these members of the Messianic camp within the Crown Heights community and elsewhere who share these views. And I went, okay, this is what I was looking for. These individuals can usually be identified by the small yellow pin known as the Moshiach flag. I put it up for you. Steph, would you put that pin up? This is the Moshiach flag worn on their lapel or their little black hat, and the Hebrew words of Yeki emblazoned on their kipput. They have a Yeki-filled kipput. It's very yucky. And, I don't want it. You guys can keep it. All right, there you go. There's a little play on words.
Keep it.
Since
I don't want to keep it.
I don't want to keep it. I want you to have it. Keep it on your kippet. Since Schneerson's death, Base Moshiach magazine, ooh, that sounds like a page turner, has been a major organ for views within this camp of the Messianist. Between the years 1998 and 2004, the Messianists have garnered support from rabbis to issue a rabbinic ruling supporting their messianic claims. These views have led to much controversy and condemnation. Between the years 98 and 2004, a rabbinic ruling supporting the messianic claim that the Rabbi is the Moshiach was issued and signed by over 100 rabbis. Okay, now there's also anti-Messianists, and some of the Chabad Hasidim continue to see him as the most righteous Jewish leader of the time, whose influence throughout the world remains very palpable. They acknowledge he died, visit his grave, observe beautiful language. They tend to place little or no emphasis on whether or not the Schneerson will be Moshiach. He's called the Schneerson. I'm just going to start calling him the Schneer. Instead, they focus on the practical aspects of the Schneer's vision of making the world a better place. That's so nice. I love the Schneer. They're aware of the Schneer's negative reactions when people tried making messianic claims about him, and are acutely aware of how much the Schneer, their Tzaddik Hador, and their Mashiach Shabador expects of them to accomplish both in the realm of their own personal service of God, in helping to bring the beauty of Judaism to Jews, and to spread the beauty of monotheism to the world at large. They hold that they have no way of knowing who will be Mashiach, even though they may wish that it may be the Schneer. So that's how you kind of note this about Muslims. People are dying for me to make it even and say something about no. With these false monotheistic faiths like Islam and Judaism, they never really specify how high their guy is, you know? Muhammad or the big Schneer or whatever. They're top guy, the top guy. The top guy, some people are like, oh, he's God. You know, some Muslims really have an almost godlike view of Muhammad. Others, most of them say he's just a prophet. They're not really bothered by the Lord, liar, lunatic trifurcation that is imposed by just common sense. It's interesting, isn't it? Whereas Christians, because we have the one true faith, we're like, if Jesus isn't Lord, if he's not God and the Son of God, as well as the Messiah, then he's just a liar or lunatic. We have no problem saying that. So it's pretty interesting when you consider that this is all kind of independently corroborated. Not necessarily that the guy claiming to be David in the video that I played for you is actually named David or anything like that. Maybe he was an actor doing the world's best New York Jew accent, Brooklyn Jew accent. If so, that's just great. And he's better than professionals like Jim Caviezel and who's the other guy? Jim Caviezel's dad in Frequency.
Dennis
Quaid.
Those were the worst two New York accents I've ever
They were
heard.
terrible. And conversely, you know, this Brooklyn Jew accent put on by this guy calling himself David, I forget what he said his last name was, just chef's kiss. Maybe it's real though. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing about all this is modern Judaism is such a farce. You can't separate fact from fiction. And Chabad Messianism is such a joke that it's not all, you know, the Hasidim believe in it. All the Hasidim do believe in Metzitzah B'peh, you know, basically molesting the baby being circumcised orally. It's horrible. I won't even make a joke about it. It's too terrible to even think of. So they all believe in that, but not all of them believe in Chabad Messianism. But the ones that don't believe that he's going to be resurrected and we should do like magic rituals in the tunnels, which a bunch of them believe, specifically the 9 extremist Chabad students that were doing, they were doing it on behalf of their Chabad Messianism. So magic rituals in the tunnels, maybe they're like, no, we hold off on those, but we do hope that the big Schneer is the Messiah, the Moshiach. And even guys like Dennis Prager and Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro's Orthodox. I think Prager is as well, but they're not Hasidic. Even they're like, this guy's the best guy. He's the most important Jew of the last 100 years. So he's a towering figure. Died in 1994, or I think maybe he did, right? You know, unless they're right that he's really he's God and he's just hiding somewhere for the last 32 years. But he's well respected. And so when you watch a video like this, which I watch videos like that all the time, but it was a unique one. And he's saying they were doing magic necromancy rituals to bring back, you know, using bloodletting and stuff like that, which has always been a claim against Jews that they do this stuff. And the church, you know, has said at times, yeah, don't say this. Other times, most Catholics believed it. The blood libel. That's not specifically what they were describing here, but they're saying that there's bloodletting going involved, the dead bodies, and it's rituals, and they had to do it down in tunnels. And we have produced evidence of bloodstained mattresses. So, hey, guy, don't get on your high horse with me and say that was just a comedy video. I mean, that was like a faction video at the worst. Like Father Malachi Martin said, I'm doing fact fiction. All that stuff was based on reality, and you should know. So I don't know exactly what to make of it. It's comedy, it's well done, and it's funny, but it's extra well done, chef's kiss, if it's comedy where they're trying to bring about the kind of analysis that I'm bringing to bear here.
Well, comedy is comedy because it's usually true.
Right.
When you're laughing at like a race joke or any joke, you laugh because it's true. Because you're identifying something within a set of group of people that applies.
Right.
That's why we laugh. If it wasn't true, then nobody would identify that and laugh.
Right. Asians aren't running around doing violent crime. I mean, I know they're like the kabuto-sai in Japan, and I learned this through Chris Farley's movie Beverly Hills Ninja, which is an absolute chef's kiss work of art. But in America, we don't have like Asian guys running around doing violent crime. So an Asian guy violent crime joke wouldn't be funny. It's funny because it's true. When we're like, oh, how many of your family members have been killed by your black violent crime? And it's like, okay, well, it's really sad, but if you don't laugh, you cry. It's like 12 relatives of mine, 12 relatives of everyone, almost everyone out there, sometimes more, have been killed by black violent crime. Well, if you don't laugh, you cry. So there is truth in jest. There's a nugget of truth. Usually it's a big nugget of truth. Stereotypes are almost always true.
In your family, it's the Italians that are going around killing people, right?
Allegedly, great-grandfather was mob connected, but I don't want to get whacked. So
by your own family.
Yeah. Well, you betray the family. My father's name was Vincenzo Guadagno. Guadagno is how you say it in English. That's my mom's side of the family, and it means I earn, like I make money, like make it rain up in here, bitches. That's my last name, Guadagno. Make it rain up in here, bitches. So the point is, don't get in the comments and say this was a comedy video, Tim. You didn't even know. I'll get all sorts of nitwits and midwits talking trash in the comments because they didn't even watch me saying, I know that the guy and the girl are being funny in the video. I'm not sure whether that Jewish Brooklyn guy, the Brooklyn Jew, whose name was actually David, but everything they're saying is true. It's about Chabad Messianism, and keep your eye on this. Keep your eye on the story. That's what I'm saying.
We have some super chats if you'd like to get to that.
Let's do them fast, and then let's end.
And then
we're going to do a local show tonight.
Yeah, local show directly, or monthly supporter show directly after this. So if you support on Twitter, Subscribe Star, Locals, or YouTube, look for that link. L'chaim. Okay. Flying Tiger says Rabbi Schneerson encouraged his ultra-Orthodox Hasidic followers to call him the Mosiach.
The Mosiach.
Mosiach. I don't know how anyone's saying all these Jew names without getting a sore throat.
Yeah, well, I had a sore throat to begin with, so L'chaim. That's true. That's true.
PFF 1974 says, "Thanks for the stream, sir, in Christ." Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for watching this stream. I mean, I was wondering if you guys are going to be like, "What the hell is Tim reporting on?" It's kind of weird, but it's all that is sacred. Yeah. Okay.
CB7841 says the fathers taught that they will receive the Antichrist and rebuild the temple. Stop Noahide laws. L'chaim.
Chaim. Klav Kalash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amen to that. Okay. Is that the show?
Yeah. If that's it, then very good. Let's go. Let's switch over to locals only. We're just going to be talking. We're going to be whispering secrets about the rest of you. That's what we're going to do.
We're going to be talking about you guys behind your backs. Those
About-
of you who aren't locals.
Talking about the big Schneer, Mendelbaum, or whatever his first name was. You know, maybe there's messianic secrets we'll be talking about, and you guys are just like, dang, I wish I was a local supporter of Tim. Well, it's not too late, and it's also not too late to get. We're gonna have to. You made such a lovely display here for all of the stuff you get if you become a locals supporter today at $13 a month or more. We need monthly support, not just yearly support, monthly support. $5 or $10 is great. We appreciate it monthly, but $13 or more, you get this God Save the Patriarchy pin. You got a retrograde chic hand stitchery, which is a memento mori of our Calvin the Capuchin, or whatever we're calling him, done by Steph Gordon herself with an autograph. You have two book, what are they called? Magnets.
Yeah.
Catholic Republic in the case for
Those
Patriarchy.
are called magnets.
Magnet, yeah. And then a sticker comes in a cool little pack. It's just cool. People would be like, "Whoa, dude, you're the coolest. You're a parish orphan of retrograde
Quality.
provenance." All right, so support today. Thanks for watching the show. Hopefully you learned everything you ever wanted to hear about the Mojak, the big Schneer, who died in 1994, but they're trying to resurrect using magic New York Jew tunnel rituals. So God bless you all. Dead.